What's up, everyone? The stock market exploded today, and we have some big news to cover because Microsoft and Google just reported earnings, and it's not looking good so far. In this video, we're going to cover some great setups for the rest of this week, what you need to know with Microsoft and Google earnings, and other important things to keep close on your watch list for the rest of this week because the volatility is just starting. We're set for some big moves to end the week. But Tom, let's get right into it.
Yeah, like you said, Mike, the market did very well today and ran up above that 380 resistance, which we talked about a lot over the past few days. And we ended up exploding up above that and having some very nice intraday moves. But as you can see right now, we are down in after hours as Microsoft and Google both reported earnings, and both of them actually went pretty badly. So to start off, we'll start with Microsoft, Mike. Their EPS actually beat and their revenue beat, but they are actually down quite a bit in after hours here. They did show good growth year over year, 11%, and they did show some good growth with Azure. And then they're also saying that they're going to be maybe changing their Office 365 over to Microsoft 365. So I don't know if that's going to do anything there, but they did say LinkedIn and Dynamics actually beat above estimates too for them. So that's good, Mike. Overall, it actually seemed pretty good to me with Microsoft, but nonetheless, they are down here in after hours. Nonetheless, it's just a very bad thing. Obviously, the cloud revenue was lower than expected, so that's a big reason. But those overall numbers were pretty good, Mike. It sucks to see that they're down. Now, switching over to Google, though, they have a bunch of numbers posted here. But one of the big things that everybody's hitting on is that YouTube advertising revenue. As we can see on this Yahoo article, they talk a lot about digital advertisers are obviously right now being struck by the issue of companies having cutbacks with their budgets, and that's obviously causing a slowdown in ad spending. So that's not good. Google's missed, obviously, on their EPS and their revenue, Mike. That was a pretty bad miss. Here's all the numbers again, so you guys can see it. But nonetheless, Mike, they have a lot of numbers, and it's not going good so far. As I said, down in after hours quite a bit, and it looks like it's going to be pulling the SPY back, at least right now.
So here's the thing. Google and Microsoft earnings were not necessarily bad. They just weren't good enough to truly wow investors and make the stocks pop back up. Microsoft beat on their revenue and their profit. That's awesome, but it just wasn't enough to truly make the stock pop up. This is what happens sometimes. Over the past week, the stock market has been blasting up. And even if you report better earnings than what everyone is expecting, you can still have your stock fall. And that's exactly what we saw with Microsoft. Google was a little bit different because the advertising aspect of their business is struggling, like many other companies with similar businesses are. You could look at Meta or Snapchat or any other company that relies on digital advertising revenue. It's been a tough past couple months, so keep that in mind. But at the end of the day, it wasn't necessarily bad earnings. So looking at the market overall, it still closed pretty high. The stock market is pulling back a little bit in after hours. But Tom, you look at that heat map and it was a sea of green today. Tons of great movement. There were only like a couple stocks in the red. We had companies like Tesla up over 5%. And for the most part, it's been a pretty good day.
Yeah, it really was, especially early on. We saw some really nice breakouts all across the board. Meta was even running up a lot today. That had a huge breakout before this bad ad revenue miss with Google tonight, of course. But yeah, great moves, Mike. I was happy to see all these stocks running up. Square was another big one, 4%. Like we said, Tesla is one of everybody's favorites. They ended up closing up 5%, and it could have even been a little higher there if they close around 224. But you're right, the market is actually holding up pretty well. We're sitting right around that intraday support, right around 382.50. So we'll have to see if maybe we can hold this heading into tomorrow. And who knows, Mike, Microsoft, they were actually kind of coming back up a little bit earlier. Maybe they will start to bounce back up a little bit more heading into tomorrow. Obviously, these earnings always go all over the place. And like we talked about earlier in the week, sometimes we'll wake up and the moves totally reverse on us. So we'll have to see. I don't think Google will reverse, though. They obviously got hit pretty hard.
Gotcha. Yeah, we'll see. Earnings are always crazy. But looking at some stocks for the short term, we really have to look at TLT. This setup has been absolutely crazy. For those of you who don't know, TLT represents longer dated treasury bonds. I know, boring stuff, but here's the thing. It's been tanking over the past year, and basically that means that yields have been rising at a crazy pace, and we're just now starting to slowly see TLT pop back up. TLT is very oversold. The move that we've seen with treasury bonds and yields over the past year has been historic in a bad way. TLT, like I said, it's finally starting to pop back up. To me, I think it can definitely continue up more. So it's definitely on my watch list. Like I said, the move we've been seeing with rates this year has been very unusual, and TLT is pretty oversold, and I can see yields start to come down just a little bit.
Yeah, I can too, especially in the short term, Mike. Obviously, anything can happen in the short term, but I feel like right now it's very oversold. It's been bouncing down here around $92, and I agree. I think that we could also see a bit of a pop back up as those yields start to calm down, at least just a little bit. You know, I would think that they calm down at least a little bit heading into the holiday season, especially if the market pops up a little bit for us. But, a big stock that I was looking at today was actually a stock that I usually don't talk about, and that's actually Rivian, Mike. They had a great day. They were up 10%. They closed up pretty well, but they are falling down in after hours, as a lot of stocks are because of Google and Microsoft. But I did like their momentum here. I really like these support bounces around $30. I think a lot of buyers have been coming in down here and pushing this stock back up. So keep it on the radar for the next few days. Looking at that daily chart, it's really nice to see a nice extension back to the upside. I feel like we might be starting a bit of an uptrend again.
Yep, we'll see. It has a lot of momentum, and Rivian took an absolute beatdown over the past year. Where are their all-time highs at?
Yeah, the all-time highs all the way up there at 180, and now they're trading at 34. But I will say it's not just them. A lot of stocks like Zoom, Meta, and everything across the board has been down too, but they are down especially hard.
Yeah. All right. One other one that I was watching is Logitech, or LOGI. This is a company I own for the long term. They're a pretty great company, and they're trading at a pretty solid price as well. They're also pretty oversold. They have all-time highs right around 140. Right now they're trading just a little bit over $50 per share. And Logitech moves in a way that is a little bit unique, in the sense that you won't see this one moving like you will Tesla or AMD or something like that. This stock tends to move a little bit slower, but also in a more consistent trend. So I'm looking at this one over like the next couple weeks or so. It's pretty oversold. It's finally starting to get some good momentum back. It's double bottoming, and it's just at a good level. So it's definitely on my watch list to the upside. It's a slower play though, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, and it was really nice to see them actually do well on earnings. I know this was a pretty big one, Mike, that me and you were watching kind of behind the scenes, and it was really nice to see them kind of pop up on this earnings move. So great move for them, up 11%, and I think it can go actually pretty well. But a lot of stocks have been moving up a lot lately. Like we've been talking about, the SPY, the past 3 trading days has been extremely explosive to the upside. I'm actually looking for a bit of a pullback here in the market. So I'm actually going to be watching SPXS over the next couple days. Now, keep in mind, I'm still going to be watching SPY to the upside. If it does end up breaking that high up around 385, then, I'll just have to trade it up. But if we do see a pullback, especially with Google and Microsoft falling down, SPXS might be a pretty good thing to day trade tomorrow if you can find some good momentum on it. Obviously, though, you need the SPY to fall for SPXS to pop up. And keep in mind, I would only scalp this, guys. It's a 3x leveraged ETF, which can get pretty volatile. So hopefully this one pops, though. If SPY starts pulling back, you might be able to hedge your plays a little bit.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, like let's say the SPY or the overall market is down 1%, that means SPXS will be up around 3%. So SPXS goes up when the market goes down, but you don't want to hold SPXS over the long term because it decays because of the way just the fund is set up. So you have to be careful in that sense, but it's good for day trading and just short-term movements.
Yeah, exactly. It's nothing to hold for the long term. And like you said, Mike, that longer term chart on it looks atrocious because obviously it decays, and it does end up like reverse splitting and stuff like that when it gets too low as well. So you got to be careful with it, but it can have pretty explosive moves. Like you can see here back in August, the stock moved from 17.50 all the way up to $30 as the SPY fell down. That's almost 100% move there.
Yeah, it's crazy, so we'll see. But Tom, I know we had a couple big earnings today. What is on the schedule for the rest of the week in terms of earnings and economic data?
Yeah, so I know right now Microsoft and Google are down quite a bit in after hours, but we can honestly still come back from it this week, Mike. There's not a lot of weeks where I can say that there's still some companies that can make us come back from losses like that. But we're still going to see Boeing tomorrow morning, along with Kraft Heinz, which I've been watching. And then tomorrow after close, we're going to see Meta report, which is going to be huge given the ad revenue missed by Google tonight. Hopefully Meta can turn things around. And then Ford will report, which I think is interesting. Teladoc's another big one. So watch those three tomorrow after hours. That's going to be huge. Boeing will be interesting. And then Thursday, Mike, we have Apple and Amazon and Intel in after hours, and Shopify, McDonald's, Caterpillar, Southwest Airlines, and MasterCard before open. So we have a lot on the schedule, guys. Hopefully Apple and Amazon can report and maybe bring us back from the spiral Microsoft and Google created.
True. And, we have a lot of volatility set with earnings, but we also have a lot of volatility set to come in because of that economic data. So on Thursday, we have two key events. The first one being the European Central Bank interest rate decision. This will be important as inflation has been not only out of control in the United States, but also just the entire world. So that's important to see what they do with their interest rates. We also have important GDP data coming out on Thursday before market open as well. So the European Central Bank decision and the GDP data will both come out Thursday before market open. Keep those events just in the back of your mind because they can definitely move the market. And then on Friday, we have some personal spending and some personal income data. Also, both of these events before market open. So lots of volatilities on the way.
Yeah, it definitely is, Mike. I hope that those spending numbers are better than expected, especially heading into the holiday season. Hopefully we see spending still stay high. And I know that's bad for inflation, but it might be good for some of these companies, which are extremely oversold right now. I know I'm really going to be watching a lot of these companies that obviously during the holiday season, like Walmart, Target, and stocks like that. And talking about Walmart, they're still on a nice uptrend.
Yeah, you know it. So one other notable stock I wanted to talk about today is UNVR. So I was scrolling through some order flow today, and I saw some whale dump $840,000 into the UNVR 25 strike call options that expire on January 20th of 2023. I saw this play. It was very interesting to me for a couple reasons. The first one being it's an at the money call play. Earnings is coming up soon. The second one being it's an opening position. The expiration, has some time, but not a ton of time. And the third one being that UNVR is like a chemical and distribution company, and their stock has been holding up pretty well over the past year, especially when you compare it to other stocks and industries. So it's a very interesting play. I think it has potential. It's when you dump $840,000 into an at the money call option with a couple months left of time, it's like, it's tempting,
Yeah, and it's a chemical and distribution company, like you said, which obviously those companies, and well, I shouldn't say those companies specifically, but obviously companies that deal with stuff like chemicals and metals and stuff like that have been doing extremely well over the past few years. So I think this is a pretty good one, Mike. It also has a really good double bottom on the support or on the chart here at support right around $22. So I think that's huge. We were at there around September of last year. And so we're bouncing there again, September of this year. So hopefully that holds up and we can continue up. I would think we have at least a good chance to come up and retest $27. That at least seems like a very realistic move. It's only $2, but if they threw 840K at it, Mike, that could go pretty well for them.
We'll see. It has a moderate correlation to the SPY, as we can see in the bottom right corner. When you see $840,000 going to an at the money call play, you would think someone knows something. It's not just some random play where they're like, all right, I'm just going to throw almost $1 million into at the money calls. It's like they probably know something. So I'm gonna keep it on my watch list because it's pretty unusual, and that's how a lot of these unusual options plays work. It's like the play looks a little bit confusing at first, and then the next thing you know, a couple weeks later, there's some giant news article that comes out.
Yeah, it actually just happened for us with Walmart. We saw a good play last week, and now we're seeing that nice uptrend continuing. So very huge there. And I know we've been talking about a lot of other ones. So keep them on the radar, guys. They can go pretty well sometimes. And like you said, Mike, that's a lot of money thrown in. You would definitely think they know something.
Yep. All right, well, let's get right into the momentum plays for tomorrow. With the first one, we have Apple, and we need both directions.
Yeah, so Apple's actually starting to fall back down a little bit here in after hours, and they kind of bounced off intraday support here. If I see them fall under $150 tomorrow, I will look for puts. But if I see them recover up and they break above 150, then I'll look at calls. But keep in mind, this one could go either way.
All right, with the next one, we have GLD to the upside.
GLD, very nice to see gold still popping up here. Go ahead and make them break above 154.50.
Sounds good. With the last one, we have Shopify, and this one's also to the upside.
SHOP, I actually really like this, Mike. There's like a bit of a triple top going on. If they can break above $30.20, I think we could see a pretty good pop.
Perfect. So we are watching Shopify, GLD, and Apple for potential day trades to the upside tomorrow, only if they break above the levels Tom listed. And then for Apple, we are also watching it for potential downside play if it breaks below the zone Tom listed. But speaking of Shopify, which was one of the momentum plays today, that was actually the bot play from today. So if you guys are looking for daily options alerts, check out the first link in the description and the comments down below. Our bot has been on fire. 9 out of the past 10 plays have popped. The bot has been doing an absolutely amazing job. It's been crazy to say the least. So Shopify for today, it was alerted at $159 each, popped all the way up to $174, and that was actually one of the smallest pops over the past 10 plays. Some of these other pops just straight up exploded, like over 50% in a day. So if you guys are looking for daily alerts, definitely check out that first link in the description and the comments down below. Our bot is awesome. You'll also get access to swing plays, a private community, and you can cancel at any time. And we have automatic discount code running. And then we also want to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Taru. So he's a member of the day, and he actually banked off of yesterday's bot play. He bought 2 contracts yesterday and then sold out today for an awesome profit. So great job, Taru. Keep it up.
Yeah, that was an awesome play. Really love to see these profits posted here, guys. We have the profits channel here. Just post them in there. We've had some amazing plays recently from a lot of great people. So good job, Taru. I think that was an amazing play on Meta. Good hold, actually. You probably saw some really good momentum there. I will say, Mike, we don't usually recommend holding the bot plays, but that was looking very enticing on Meta.
Yeah, he timed it perfectly actually, because it tanked in the after hours. So awesome job, awesome play. And the more volatility we see in the upcoming weeks, generally the better it is for day trading. So now's the time to join if you've ever been on the fence. But Tom, do you have any final things we want to talk about before we end today's video? Anything important? Anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of throw up the yields really quickly here. I'm just going to throw up the 10-year for you guys just to kind of show you a little bit more into kind of like what's going on. So I know we talked about TLT a little bit, Mike. You can really see on this 10-year or the 10-year yield here how it's really starting to fall back down. Right now it's sitting almost right around 4%, which seems like a bit of area of support for it. So watch for this to continue down. If we see this down tomorrow, the SPY might pop up, even though Microsoft and Google's earnings were bad. So watch for this to continue. I think once we see a solid downtrend out of these yields, Mike, the market will seriously go on a really good uptrend. So hopefully this continues.
There we go. So again, definitely check out that first link in the description and the comments down below to trade with our bot. It's absolutely awesome. And if you guys want to understand why the market is doing what it's doing right now on a deeper level, definitely check out this video on the screen right now. We cover some really cool things related to the market that's actually driving it up and no one's really paying attention to it. Definitely check it out.